They thought it would be just another royal interview, but when Prince Harry sat across from Savannah Guthrie, everything unraveled faster than expected. He arrived confident, but by the end, he wasn't just embarrassed he was pushed out. This was more than a royal controversy. Live on American television, the Today Show studio buzzed with activity. Technicians adjusted lights, producers whispered into earpieces, and Savannah Guthrie flipped through her cards with the precision of a seasoned journalist. Everything seemed routine. But the energy in the room hinted at something more. Prince Harry had arrived 15 minutes early, dressed in a tailored navy suit. His security team moved like shadows, while his PR handler, a young woman with a clipboard and headset, hovered nearby, rehearsing talking points quietly. Harry nodded, glancing around the studio with a mix of suspicion and disdain. This wasn't Buckingham Palace. It was unpredictable, uncontrolled American media. 5 minutes later, Savannah straightened her blazer and greeted him. "Good morning, Your Royal Highness." Harry responded tersely, "Just Harry's fine." Savannah noted the subtext. "Don't lean into the titles. Don't mention the crown." She gestured to the interview chairs, and they both sat as the cameras rolled. "Welcome to the Today Show," Savannah began. "It's a pleasure to have you." Harry offered a tight smile. Savannah maintained a light tone. "You've been busy, book tours, speaking engagements, a new documentary. We're excited to hear more." Harry nodded. "It's about sharing my truth, setting the record straight." The first 10 minutes passed smoothly. He spoke about his latest project, promoting mental health awareness for veterans, mentioning nonprofit partners and using phrases like duty beyond the uniform. Savannah leaned forward slightly. "You often speak about privacy, especially for your children, yet you've shared deeply personal family moments, interviews, books, a Netflix series. How do you draw the line between privacy and publicity?" Harry's smile stiffened. "It's about context. When lies are told constantly, you have a right, no, an obligation, to correct the narrative, especially for your family." Savannah pressed on. "But correcting the narrative often means exposing private conversations. Details about your father, brother, and grandmother were never public until you shared them." Harry's eyes narrowed. "I think that's unfair." Savannah replied evenly. "It's just a question. Many are wondering where the boundary is." He chuckled, frustrated. "I didn't come here to be grilled about my choices. I came to talk about the good this project is doing." Savannah nodded politely. "Of course, but as you said, the public narrative matters." The tension in the studio thickened. She moved to a softer topic. "You said stepping back from royal duties was one of the hardest decisions of your life. Do you ever miss that world?" Harry stiffened. "I miss the service, not the institution. And your family." Silence. "We're focusing on healing privately," he said. A subtle dodge. Savannah sensed his defensiveness, but she smiled, trying to guide the conversation. "Fair enough. Let's shift gears a bit." "Megan, let's not," Harry interrupted sharply. Savannah blinked. "Sorry, you said this was about me. I was just going to ask how she's doing." "She's fine," Harry said coldly. "This is about me. I'd appreciate if we didn't make it about my wife." The lights dimmed slightly for a commercial cue. "But," Savannah didn't waver, "of course. But many of our viewers are curious about how the two of you navigate this public life together. You're partners in so many ways, and it's admirable." Harry crossed one leg over the other and exhaled through his nose. "We navigated it privately, the way family should." Pause. Savannah let the moment settle, then picked up her next card. "Let's talk legacy. You've often said you want to build something meaningful beyond titles and tradition, but some critics argue that without the royal platform, your reach wouldn't be what it is now that you've distanced yourself from the crown but still capitalize on the royal connection. How do you respond to that?" Harry's composure cracked slightly, enough for Savannah to notice a flicker of irritation. "Are we really going there?" he muttered, not into the mic, but loud enough for the boom to catch it. Savannah's smile didn't fade. "It's a fair question, one that a lot of people are asking." Harry leaned back in his chair, a practiced PR move, but his fingers tapped rhythmically on the armrests, betraying his tension. "I've earned everything I've done outside that institution," he said. "I'm not cashing in on my family name. I'm surviving without it." Savannah nodded. "Surviving, but still using the titles. The Duke of Sussex is on the book cover, on the documentary credits, on your promotional posters." Harry's eyes held a fire. "That's who I am. But is it who you want to be?" Savannah asked gently. "Or is it who you need to be to stay relevant in a media-driven world?" Harry uncrossed his legs, sat forward, and looked directly into the camera for a moment, then back at Savannah. "I don't need relevance. I need truth." Savannah's brow lifted slightly. "And yet." "Here you are again." Silence. The studio lights reflected the glint in Harry's eyes, and even the crew behind the glass could feel it. Something was building. The prince hadn't exploded yet, but he was close. Savannah Guthrie wasn't backing down. Not yet. Not ever. The commercial break couldn't have come at a better time. Inside the studio, silence buzzed louder than the overhead lights. Harry leaned back, jaw tight, fingers drumming rapidly on the armrests. His PR handler rushed in, whispered something, and he nodded dismissively, eyes fixed on a distant point behind the cameras. Savannah remained posed, sipping calmly from a Today Show mug. She had faced politicians, CEOs, and generals, and covered national tragedies. She knew when a guest was cracking. The countdown began. The cameras went live again. "We're back with Prince Harry." Savannah began smoothly, discussing his journey, legacy, and life beyond the palace. Harry offered a tight nod. The earlier smile was now just muscle memory. Savannah glanced at her card but didn't need it. "I want to ask you something that's been trending lately, not just in the tabloids. There's concern that your public advocacy on mental health has been overshadowed by repeated family criticism. Do you think your message is getting lost in the noise?" Harry blinked slowly. "My advocacy stands on its own. If people choose to fixate on headlines instead of substance, that's not my responsibility." "But you created the headlines," Savannah replied, soft but firm. "The excerpts, the interviews, the docuseries, they weren't leaked. They were released by you." Harry's eyes narrowed. "This sounds less like a conversation and more like an interrogation." "I'm just giving voice to what many are wondering," she replied, cool and unfazed. "You've always said you wanted to control your narrative. I'm trying to understand how that control squares with constant public exposure." Harry laughed sharply. "Maybe because every time I try to do something meaningful, I get dragged into defending my existence. Like now." "That's fair," Savannah conceded, leaning in. "But don't you think there's a difference between defending your existence and monetizing your grievances?" There it was. Harry's smile vanished completely. "I'm sorry. Are you accusing me of profiting off trauma?" "I'm asking." Savannah clarified. "You've spoken about your childhood trauma, your mother's death, your strained family relationships, but those stories are not part of a multi-million-dollar content machine. Do you think your pain has become commodified?" He chuckled bitterly. Harry said, "It must be nice to sit in that chair and pass judgment on how people survive." "I'm not passing judgment," Savannah said calmly. "I'm questioning the message. A lot of young men look up to you veterans especially, but they're not writing books or signing Netflix deals. They're dealing with pain quietly, privately. Does your model suggest that healing requires exposure?" Harry exhaled forcefully. "What it suggests is that honesty matters, that breaking the cycle requires visibility." Savannah didn't blink, even when that honesty involved publicly naming and shaming family, sharing texts, voicemails, and personal conversations. The Duke of Sussex sat up straight, tension in his shoulders now visible even to viewers at home. "I'm not here to be disrespected," he said coldly. "No one is disrespecting you," Savannah replied. "But you agreed to this interview knowing we'd ask about the things you've publicly spoken on. If those topics are suddenly off limits, then why agree to come at all?" Harry didn't respond. He shifted in his seat, giving a practiced smirk. Maybe I overestimated the tone of this program. I thought I'd be treated like a human being, not like a scandal headline. The jab hung in the air. Savannah's professionalism didn't waver, but a flicker of steel passed through her expression. You are being treated like a human being, she said softly. That's why I'm asking human questions, ones that require accountability, not rehearsed lines. Harry scoffed. You're doing what the British press did, baiting me, provoking me, all for clicks and outrage. You're not in Britain anymore, Savannah replied. You're sitting in a studio, invited, in control of your own words. The silence that followed was heavy. Harry shifted again, visibly agitated. Savannah turned the page. You've spoken about your love for America, how this country gave you and Meghan a fresh start, and yet, many of your interviews have been about what you left behind, not what you're building. Why is that? Harry's expression changed. This was the moment he'd been dreading. You brought up Meghan, he said coldly. I simply referenced your shared life here in the States, Savannah said. You're pivoting again. Harry continued, raising his voice slightly, trying to get a reaction. Is that what your producers want, a soundbite? Savannah held his gaze. What my producers want is clarity. What our viewers want is sincerity. What I want is honesty. Are those things so unreasonable? Harry stood up mid-interview. I'm not doing this, he muttered. I'm not going to sit here and be poked and prodded like some circus act. The crew froze. A camera operator instinctively followed him as he took a few steps to the side of the set. But Savannah didn't move. Prince Harry, she said firmly but respectfully, please don't walk away. This is your platform. You came here to speak. He turned back, frustration etched in every muscle of his face. You don't want me to speak, he said, voice dripping with disdain. You want me to perform. I want you to answer. She corrected, because right now, what millions of viewers are seeing isn't a man protecting his family. It's a man refusing to be questioned. Harry paused, then in a voice just loud enough for every boom mic in the studio, he said, this interview is over, and he walked off the set. The screen faded to black. Savannah remained in her chair, composed, still holding her card as if the conversation might resume, but it wouldn't. Not that day. Thought the Duke walked off live television. Cameras cut. Viewers gasped. But what happened after his dramatic exit was even more revealing than the interview itself. As the dust settled in Studio 1A, a royal narrative crumbled not by scandal, but by accountability. Savannah Guthrie had done what no tabloid, talk show, or palace press secretary ever could. The Today Show control room erupted into chaos the moment Prince Harry vanished. Producers scrambled, whispering urgently into headsets. The studio director signaled to cut to a best moments of the week segment, but it was too late. Millions of viewers had just witnessed the implosion in real time. Twitter exploded. Within seconds, hashtags like hashtag royal meltdown trending instantly. Hashtag Savannah bound Harry began trending before the next commercial even aired. Back on set, Savannah Guthrie remained composed, almost regal. She slowly removed her earpiece, exhaled deeply, and looked directly into camera one. The red light blinked on. As you just saw, our conversation with Prince Harry has come to an early end. We'll be back in a moment with more from Studio 1A, she said, her voice calm but authoritative. She didn't flinch. She didn't editorialize. She simply stared down the lens like a veteran anchor delivering election results or breaking news, because that's exactly what it had become, breaking news. Behind the scenes, Harry's team was in disarray. His PR handler followed him down the hall, pleading in hushed tones as he stormed past the green room, ripped the lapel mic from his collar, and hurled it onto a makeup counter. A junior staffer offered bottled water. Harry slapped it away. I told you, he seethed. This was a setup. No, sir, the handler whispered. I starting for cameras. It was journalism. Meanwhile, back in the control room, Executive producer Lily Saunders managed 1,000 micro-decisions at once. Do not pull the footage, she ordered. Savannah stays live at the top of the hour. Prep the panel, and get legal on standby. We're going to need guidance. By the time the show resumed, the internet had become a battlefield. Clips of Harry walking off flooded TikTok. YouTube already had 3 reaction videos, with thumbnails reading Prince Harry gets wrecked live and Savannah didn't come to play. Even traditional media weighed in. CNN ran a breaking chyron. Prince Harry walks off live interview. This is a setup, Fox News declared. Royal walkout. Prince Harry melts down on Today. Even the BBC, typically buttoned up, couldn't resist. Duke of Sussex leaves U.S. interview. In state of distress, inside NBC headquarters, Savannah remained unfazed. She sat in the makeup room, sipping black coffee. Our artist delicately touched up eyeliner that had barely smudged. Carson Daly peeked in. You okay? He asked. Savannah offered a small smile. Never better. What the hell happened out there? He came in thinking this was going to be a coronation, she replied. Turns out it was a mirror. Hours later, NBC uploaded the full, unedited interview including the walk-off to their official YouTube channel. Within an hour, it had 3 million views. Comments poured in faster than moderators could scan them. This is journalism. Respect to Savannah Guthrie. Harry wants privacy, but shows up everywhere talking about his family. Pick a lane. The entitlement is unreal. She was professional. He was petulant. Even Americans were calling out the royal nonsense. Bravo. Never had Harry been this rattled since that Oprah interview. Meghan Markle, notably, was silent. No social media statement. No spokesperson. Just an eerie digital quiet. Meanwhile, NBC's PR team fielded thousands of media inquiries. Bookers from rival shows tried to lure Savannah on air to discuss the interview. She declined. This isn't about me, she told her team. It's about what he revealed intentionally or not. The next morning, British newspapers were gleeful. Daily Mail, Harry humiliated on American soil. Again, The Guardian, Guthrie asks, what royal press wouldn't the Sun walk of shame? Prince loses plot live on air. Even Buckingham Palace, famously tight-lipped, issued a rare two-line statement. His Majesty, a king, remains focused on his public duties and family. He will not be commenting on the Duke of Sussex's recent interview. Not support it was a rebuke by omission. Inside Monaco, the mood was icy. According to anonymous sources, Harry refused calls from senior aides at Netflix and Penguin Random House. A planned roundtable for his upcoming documentary was quietly cancelled. The problem wasn't the walk-off, the problem was what people saw before it. A man unraveling under simple questions. A man angry not at lies being told, but that the truth being questioned. Later that week, Savannah returned to her usual anchor duties. She never referenced the incident directly on air, but during a private conversation with her producer, she said something that would echo across newsrooms for years. He thought his title would shield him. I reminded him that in this country, titles don't grant immunity. Truth demands answers. It became a quote shared widely by political journalists and engraved on a plaque inside the Today Show control room within weeks. The interview went down as one of the most talked about broadcast moments of the decade. Journalism schools began teaching it. Analysts dissected Harry's every word and gesture. Body language dominated the conversation. Late-night shows had a field day. SNL aired a parody the following Saturday, featuring a sharp-tongued Savannah impersonator and a bumbling, stammering Harry. Public opinion began to shift not entirely against Harry, but certainly away from him. He was no longer the wronged younger brother of William. He was no longer the charismatic veteran who had once laughed with the Obamas and danced in Africa. He was no longer the torchbearer for modern royalty. He had become a cautionary tale, a reminder that vulnerability without accountability becomes performance, and that every platform, no matter how carefully managed, has the potential to turn into a stage for your own undoing. The question remained, was Savannah too harsh, or had Prince Harry finally that a journalist who refused to bow to royalty? The interview left an indelible mark on viewers and the media alike, cementing its place as one of the most talked about moments in modern broadcast history.